Good morning, students. Once again, a very hearty welcome to the English World of Aradhya. Myself, Rashmin sir, teaching English to the students of 9 to 12 standard in English medium. Students, today we will learn your second poem, Tiger in the Zoo, written by Leslie Norris. So, students, there are in the world a group of people who are known as animal loving. Okay, they are animal loving people, and they won't bear any injustice or any such activities which is harming the animals. They will not bear such activities. So here the poet has expressed his views through this particular poem. We will read out the poem so that you can get the better idea of that. Okay, title only suggests a tiger in the zoo. So tiger is kept in the captivity. So nobody would like to remain in the captivity. Okay. So where is his natural habitat? That is in the forest. So from that the tiger is brought over here and is kept in a zoo. So indirectly he is in captivity, even though all his needs are supplied, fulfilled. But the freedom that he wants, he is not getting that freedom. So that's what is highlighted over here by his two different types of movement. Okay, one movement in the wild areas, that is in forest, and another his movements in the cage. Okay, in cage his movements becomes limited. Okay, I'll just read out the poem. Tiger in the zoo. This poem contrasts a tiger in the zoo with the tiger in its natural habitat. The poem moves from the zoo to the jungle and back again to the zoo. Read the poem silently once and say which stanza speak about the tiger in the zoo and which one speak about the tiger in the jungle. So easy to identify, students. Okay. First stanza. He stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage on pads of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. He should be lurking in the shadow, sliding through the long grass near the water hole where plump deer pass. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws terrorizing the village. But he is locked in a concrete cell, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. So students, here your poem ends, but here his two different habitats are mentioned in the poem. First is shown in the zoo, then the poet talks about where he should be, and then again he comes back to the position where he is in zoo. Okay, so I'll just explain the line wise. First line, he stalks in his vivid stripes. Now here it is not clear where he is. He stalks means walks. Okay, so walk with pride here. He stalks in his vivid stripes. Vivid means colorful. Stripes means the lines he has got on his body. So he stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage. So his cage has limited space. So that's why he can take only few steps. He cannot run freely and can take as many steps as he wants. That will be possible only in the forest, not in the zoo. Okay. On pads of velvet quiet, pads means his feet. His feet is having that quietness because they are soft one. Okay. Only the nail parts is a dangerous one. Otherwise, the remaining is palm of the, we can say, feet is what? Very quiet. It is like some resin. On pads of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. So he is moving over there, but in reality if you see that he doesn't like this situation. So he has plenty of rage. Rage means anger, but he has quietened that anger because he cannot do anything. Okay, he cannot break the bars and come out. So that's why his rage is described over here as quiet rage, silent rage. Okay. Then second stanza poet says, he should be lurking in shadows. Lurking means waiting for the prey. So if he is there in his natural habitat, then what he would do? He would go for his prey. he would be waiting for his prey, some deer or any other such animal he would be waiting for in the shadow, sliding through long grass. So when he moves towards his prey, he should not be seen. So that's why he takes the support of the long grass. Okay, in the shadow of the long grass only he makes movement towards his prey. Near the water hole where plump deer pass. So after sliding where he goes, normally all the animals of the forest would go to one particular place, that is the water pool, just to drink water, just to satisfy their thirst. They would go to the water pool. And any wild animals also know that these animals, stag or deer or any such animals, would definitely come over there. And they don't come singly, they come in group. So at least one of them they can easily kill. So wild animals are also there to prey them. So here you see near the water hole where plump deer pass. So plump deer means very obese deer, which they can easily make the prey. So there he should be. Instead, the reality is the tiger is in the zoo. Actually, he should be in the forest. He should be snarling around houses. Now, second situation is also talked about. He should not be in zoo. He should be snarling around the houses. Which houses? Houses at the jungle's edge. जंगल की बॉर्डर से जुड़ के जो हाउसेज आए हैं, सो देयर ही शुड बी स्नार्लिंग. स्नार्लिंग मीन्स प्रोड्यूसिंग दैट साउंड, रोरिंग साउंड. ओके, bearing his white fangs. Fangs here means teeth. Fang is a word normally used for this snakes, but here the tiger's teeth are also called fangs. So bearing his white fangs, bearing means opening, showing his white fangs, his claws. His claws means this claw, hands, okay, with nails, terrorizing the village. Now when he shouts, when he roars, okay, his fangs and his claws only will terrorize the village, which will make them frightened. But he is locked in a concrete cell. Now the poet again comes back to the reality. Okay, उसको वहाँ होना चाहिए, ये करना चाहिए, वो करना चाहिए, बराबर. पर रियलिटी क्या है? रियलिटी ये है कि ही इज लॉक्ड इन अ कॉन्क्रीट सेल. कॉन्क्रीट के रूम में वो लॉक है. वन साइड ऑफ विच इज व्हाट? ओनली बार डोर, ग्रिल जैसा है. ओके, हिज स्ट्रेंथ बिहाइंड बार. सी, द विजिटर्स कैन सी हिम, बट ऑल द थ्री साइड्स ही हैज गॉट वॉल, एंड ऑन वन साइड ही हैज दैट ग्रिल which can be opened up to remove him or to put him in. Through that grill only the visitors can see him. So his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage. Stalking means just walking. He is walking only in that limited area of the cage, ignoring visitors. Now he knows that he cannot go out of that. Plus he also has realized through experience that every day so many people just pass by his cage, so they come to see him. So it is not a novelty for him now. So now he ignores all the people who come towards that cage. Okay, so he is ignoring the visitors also, because earlier it was a novelty, now it is not a novelty, and he cannot do any harm to those visitors also. He cannot come out of it. Okay, he hears the last voice at night. Okay, finally when his day ends with the hearing of the last voice. And what is that last voice? The patrolling cars, means the cars of the guards who are just roaming in the entire zoo, just to check whether all the animals are there in the proper condition or not. So those guards who are looking after the zoo, the patrolling car, its sound is heard by the tiger over here, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. So finally he does not have any other option. So he stares, he just looks at the brilliant stars. Brilliant stars means shining stars. Okay, with his brilliant eyes, because animals' eyes at night would shine. So his eyes also are shining and stars also are shining. So he doesn't have any option. Finally he is in a helpless condition. So he just looks at the stars. Maybe he is praying for his just release from the zoo. So he looks at the stars and that's where the poem ends. So students, I hope you have understood the poem. Okay. Okay students, now let's look at the question answers of this poem. Your first question is, read the poem again and work in pairs or groups to do the following task. First, find the words that describe the movements and actions of the tiger in the cage and in the wild. Arrange them in 2 columns. Okay, so students, you see over here, when he is in the cage, what his only few steps are heard, that is the movement of the tiger, and his pads of velvet can be heard over there. He is locked in the concrete cell and he is behind the bars. Those are the, so his movements are very limited. Final action he does is what? Just staring at the brilliant skies. Before that he listens to the voice of the patrolling cars. So only those many movements he can do. Okay, you can also add ignoring the visitors. Okay, those are the actions he does in the zoo. But when he is in the wild, what he can do? In the wild, he is lurking in the shadow and then he is sliding through the grass, okay, for its prey, where the plump deer is there, towards that water hole. Okay, then he also bears his fangs and his claws and roars at the jungle's edge to frighten the villagers who are staying over there. Okay, and what else? Those are his actions in the wild, in the forest area. Understood? So his both the movements are shown over here. Find the words that describe the 2 places and arrange them in 2 columns. Okay, so you can say that here I already mentioned, when the tiger is in the cage, the few steps, pads of velvet, concrete cells, bars, these are the words which show that he is in the cage. And in the wild, lurking in the shadow, bearing fangs of claws, sliding through the long grass, jungle's edge. These are the words which tell you what? Which tell you that he is in the forest. Okay, students. So only here normally you are asked these 2 questions only. Describe the movements of the tiger in the wild, yani in the forest area, and describe the movement of the tigers in the zoo. So in zoo hardly there is any movement. Okay, then it is also asked, okay, behind bars, students, that particular line, okay, his strength behind bars. So that is what irony, because tiger is what? Animal with great strength, but now his strength is useless in front of these bars. He cannot break the bars and come out. The bars are stronger than his strength. So that's why here his strength, that is what ironical situation, that his strength has no value when bar is there, when grill is there. Understood? So students, those are the questions. Now we will look at the figures of speech. First line, he stalks in his vivid stripes. So he and his both represent what? H sound, so alliteration. Here vivid stripes, here stripes which are there on his body. So stalks and stripes also S sound is repeated, so it is alliteration. The few steps of his cage, okay, the few steps also are used to suggest that smallness of the cage. Cage is so small that he can take only few steps. So indirectly it is what? Metonymy, students. On pads of velvet in his quiet rage, okay, on pads of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. So quiet is repeated twice, so you can say it is repetition. Okay, then the softness of the tiger's paw claws are compared with the softness of velvet, so it is metaphor. Okay, students, again here quiet rage. So actually tiger's rage is not quiet, tiger is quiet. So the epithet quiet is transferred to rage, that's why it is transferred epithet. Okay, and few steps, you talk about the stripes that you talk about, those are the body parts of the tiger. Okay, his pads means his feet, that is again the body parts of the tiger, so that is synecdoche also. Now look at the second stanza. He should be lurking in a shadow. So should and shadow. S sound is repeated, so it is alliteration. Okay. Sliding through the long grass. So here if we take both the lines together, lurking and sliding, both the words have ing sound in the end. So it is internal rhyme. Okay. So first is lurking, waiting, and then is sliding. So you can say it is climax also. Okay, both the lines taken together. Then next two lines you see, near the water hole where plump deer pass. So water hole over here means any pond in the forest, or students you see any place where the water has logged. So water hole refers to that area where all the animals come to drink water. So it is metonymy. Okay, near the water hole where plump deer pass. So here you see plump and pass, P sound is repeated through those two words. So it is alliteration. Okay. Now next stanza you see, he should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge. So here again we get the H sound through the words he and houses. So it is an S sound through should and snarling. So it is alliteration. Okay. Students, here it can be internal rhyme also, because he and be, both the words rhyme with each other. So it is internal rhyme also. Then here snarling is a sort of sound. So it is onomatopoeia. And students, here around the houses means the houses of those people who are living in the just at the border of the forest. Okay. So you can say that is metonymy also. Okay, now next two lines, bearing his white fangs, his claws terrorizing the village. So his fangs and his claws are terrorizing the village, means he is terrorizing the village. So it is synecdoche, because those two body parts are mentioned over here. Then it is also exclamation, because in the end of the sentence you see exclamation mark is there, terrorizing the village. Okay, and here village stands for the village people. So again it is metonymy. Okay, bearing his and bearing and terrorizing. So ing sound is there, so it is internal rhyme. Okay, and fangs stand for his teeth. Fangs is the word used for his teeth, so it is metonymy. Okay, students, so all these figures of speech for these two particular line, synecdoche, exclamation, internal rhyme, repetition. Okay. And yeah, personification we can say. But he is locked in a concrete cell. So he is locked in a concrete cell. Concrete cell means the cage. So words concrete cell is used for cage, that's why it is metonymy. Directly cage is not mentioned over here. Okay, but he is locked in a concrete cell. Again students, when the tiger is locked in a concrete cell, it is what? It is a matter of some pain, because nobody would like to remain in captivity. So you can say it is euphemism also. उसको लॉक कर दिया है केज में, तो ये यूफेमिज्म दुख की बात है. His strength behind bars. So behind bars you see those two words repeat the word sound B. So it is alliteration. His strength behind bars. So that is irony also. उसकी strength है पर बार के पीछे, तो क्या मतलब? So it is irony that even though he has strength, he cannot do anything. So that is irony. Stalking the length of his cage. Okay. Stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. So stalking and ignoring, both the words are having same ending sound. So it is internal rhyme, and both the actions are taking place, stalking and ignoring. So you can say it is climax also. Stalking the length of his cage, yani walking in the length of his cage. Okay, last stanza you see, he hears the last voice at night. So voice word refers to some sound, so that's why it is onomatopoeia. He hears. So here H sound is repeated through the words he and hears, so it is alliteration. Okay. The patrolling cars refer to the people who are guarding the zoo. So that's why it is metonymy, students. And cars are not patrolling, the people inside are patrolling. So that's why it is transferred epithet. Okay. Then in the last two lines you see, he stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. So stars and stares. So S sound is repeated, so it is alliteration. Brilliant, brilliant is repeated, so it is repetition. Okay, eyes is a body part, so it is synecdoche. And what else? He stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Stars here means the sky. Okay, sky which is flooded with the stars. So it is metaphor also, students. So with that, almost all your figures of speech of this particular poem are over. Just go through them once again, students. Don't miss them out. Study all the figures of speech once again, and I am sure you will do well in all your exams. Thank you and have a nice day.